YouTube. So, so sir, can we start or we'll wait for 5-10 minutes?
Yeah, we can start or we can wait. No issues.
Okay, so we can start after 5 minutes, I guess. Or
Okay.
if you are okay, then we can start off now also.
Okay, we can start off now also. No issues. Since 13, 14 students are there, they are continuously coming, so we can start.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and
thank you,
we
Dr.
have
Shami.
already started the recording, so it will be available
Okay.
for those who joined late also.
Okay. So thank
Okay,
you,
thank you very much.
thank you. Now is the this presentation visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Fine. Thank you. Uh, so today we'll actually I'll discuss some preliminary about this computer network and cloud computing. Before going to this topic, first is why actually this topic is relevant for today. Today you can see that everything whatever we can see, your handheld mobiles, your laptops, your computers, nothing is standalone. Everything is connected. Everything is connected to some network, maybe internet or any other network, but it is connected. You will not find many devices, very few devices you will find which is not connected to any network. So now that's why this networking, how to connect the computers or how to ensure that communication is taking place between two devices or more devices, between among more devices. So that is a critical issue. Another thing we'll be touching upon is this cloud computing. Basically, cloud computing nowadays it's booming, and the main reason is its cost effectiveness. Because if cloud through cloud computing, actually you can have a small or very low configuration device at your end, and if you purchase some cloud service provider, you can use their facility using your browser, but computing facilities and computing power will be of big machines like GPUs and other big workstations. So computation power you are here renting for some time. Whatever times you want to use, you can use it. But accordingly you will be billed. So we'll be discuss on these things. Now starting with this lecture will be composing of two parts. First we'll be discussing on computer network, some basic knowledge about that. Then we'll be discussing about this cloud computing. Now, what is actually computer network? The computer network connects two or more autonomous computers or elements. So see, computer network is we will connect actually through computer network two or more, maybe two, minimum two or more. More means a number, any number of computers or elements. Elements, why? Because in network there are many types of devices. There are PDAs, there are these smartphones, there are printers, there are scanners, there are laptops, there are workstations. So many types of devices you are connecting. The computers can be geographically located anywhere. Now, anywhere the computers can be located. Like whenever you are using, suppose your Gmail account, you don't bother where actually the server locates. So it may be located anywhere. You do not know also sometimes. Sometimes you know, sometimes you do not know where to whom actually you are communicating, to whom you know, but where actually that particular computer is or server is, you do not know. The purpose of network is to share the resources. This is the main reason, because resources are costly. Now, if you have a printer, suppose you have 20 students and you want to give facility of printing to them. Now, how you can ensure? There are two ways. You can purchase 20 number of computers and connect these 20 computers to each and every student's laptops. These printers, you can connect this with student's laptop or this computer, okay, this printer. Now another option is that you can buy a network printer and the students will share them, okay, share that particular printer. So through that, actually what will happen, every student will get the opportunity to print, and cost of installation also will not be that high. Cost of installation, cost of device also will not be that high compared to this 20 number of printers. So that is the benefit of resource sharing. What are the resources? It may be a file, right? You share the files in the network. It may be a folder. It can be a printer. It can be a disk drive. Entire drive also you can share in the network, and you can access the content of the drive, or just anything exists on the computer. So anything, whatever thing exists in the computer, or whatever other devices also, directly entire device also you can share. Like printer example I've given you, entire device also you are sharing. So any of the resources you can share. Now, what actually the advantages it will provide? The advantages are connectivity and communication. It will provide better connectivity. Better connectivity, basically it will provide connectivity and communication. Through this, actually you will be connecting two or more devices, and you will be communicating, like you are sending email, right? You are sending messages. So these are actually communications. And how it is ensured? It is ensured through connectivity. Another is data sharing. Like whatever I said, that you can perform sharing, like some file you have written, and you want to share with somebody else so that he can also write. So you can do that if you have networking facility. Then hardware sharing, like your printer you can share, your scanner you can share, any server you can share. Okay. Now internet access, this is also a very basic and fundamental thing nowadays. Everybody is now connected to the internet, so to internet access also is through networking. Disadvantages: network hardware, softwares, and setup costs. So whenever you are using this network, you have to first set it up. Now for that you have some sort of cost. Okay, you require some sort of manpower, you require some hardware, means wares you require, or if it is wireless then you have to purchase the access points, and some specialized software also you may require for ensuring the security. Now hardware and software management and administration cost. Whatever I said, that whenever you are setting up some network, you require some sort of manpower also for managing that. Okay, like what is the log, what is the browsing tendency of the means clients, and how much bandwidth they are used, everything you have to monitor. Then undesirable sharing. Suppose something you have written, you are sharing with somebody else, and at the same time somebody else is going to look into it, but what has actually happened, some unauthorized person has accessed it. So that is undesirable sharing. Whatever said, that illegal or undesirable behavior. Now whatever clients you are serving in your network, all of them may not be honest also. Yeah, so some of them will be dishonest, so they will be doing some illegal activities, means hack somebody's account, access somebody's files, unauthorized files also he or she will try to access. So that is a major issue. If you have a standalone system, it is not connected to the any of the network, then your system, if you guard the system well, then it is very well secure network, means well secure computer, right? Because it is not connected to anybody. You cannot hack anything through communication directly. Physically you have to go and retrieve the data, right? But once it is connected to the internet, the security vulnerability increases. So data security concern, right? So since you are connecting, it is creating security concern. Now application wise, if we say resource sharing, so it may be hardware, it may be software. So hardware resources already I said, and software resources, there may be a compiler. The compiler may be in a server, and all of you may be using that compiler, means you are writing the program and running the program in the server. You can do it, right? So this is sharing of software. Then information sharing, easy accessibility from anywhere. So you can be anywhere, like something is being shared in the ground floor, I am in the third floor, so I can easily access it without going downstairs. I do not have to go downstairs with a pen drive and go to that person and asking for that file. Nothing I have to do. Once it is shared, I can access it from the network. Then search capability. Now because of information sharing, you have searching capability like World Wide Web or www. Using that google.com, we search many things, right? Then communication means email, then message broadcast. So these things we use, and these are the applications. Because of network we can do it. Then remote computing, remotely also we can compute, remotely also we can control the computer. So remote access facility is there, like a team viewer facility is there, right? You can access remote computer, you can perform computation, or you can do things from remotely also. So this is also performed through network. Then distributed processing. So whatever you are doing actually, suppose I have distributed processing, actually what it means, you have a set of computer, and you are running some program. Now suppose if you are running some program in one computer, it will take lot more time. Now if you distribute it into parts and give the parts, each and every part, to different computers, so each of the computer will do their part and send back the result. The whoever has sent, source have sent, divided it into parts, so you will receive all the results, and after that it will compile it and display the result. So this is distributed computing, means task will be divided among the computers, among the devices, computers, this workstations, servers, anything. Okay, so through distribution work will be done. Now network classification. So there are actually three types of network: LAN, local area network; WAN, wide area network; and MAN, metropolitan area network. So these three types of network we have. Now regarding LAN, LAN actually is a network of computers within a small geographic area, very small geographic area. The LAN is present, like maybe in your building, or office, or home, like this is LAN. Okay, just wait. So this is LAN. So small network. Okay. So this is an example of LAN. See here, many computers are there. Many, not many, so many. Okay, few computers are there, and this is connected with printer. So this can communicate with this. This can communicate with this, or this can communicate with this. Now, if these computers want to print, it can use the printer also. Okay. So this is local area network. Another is wide area network. Means wide area network is a computer network that covers a big, broad area, bigger area. Bigger means I'll say it's much bigger compared to LAN. Okay. So the largest and most well-known example of a WAN is internet. Internet is a WAN actually, wide area network. Okay. So very big size network. So WANs are used to connect LANs and other type of network devices. So you can connect different types of network devices using WAN. See here, see, so many networks are there, and they are all connected using WAN. And see, subcontinents, they are connecting subcontinents also, right? Or continents also. So this is WAN. So within that, there are many LANs. Then MAN will go through MAN. Then after that, that is connected to WAN. So that is biggest network, I'll say. Medium-sized network is this MAN, metropolitan area network. So is a network that connects users with computer resources in a geographic area, then that covered by LAN, which is greater than LAN and smaller than WAN. Means it covers a geographical area whose size is greater than LAN and whose size is smaller than WAN. Okay, so it is between this LAN and WAN. So the term is applied to interconnection of network in a city into a single large network. Suppose in a city, computers are connected. So this may be an example of MAN. So it is also used to mean the interconnection of several local networks by bridging them with the backbone line. So suppose there are many local area networks, it is connected to some OFC, suppose backbone. So this also forms a MAN, like here. See, there few networks are there. They are all connected. Not that much, okay? Bigger than LAN, but smaller than WAN. It is connected on, and this is MAN, Metropolitan Area Network. So this is one size example is actually size parameter, size wise what we will tell actually. If it is 1 meter of radius, so it will be personal area network. Okay, personal area network means network which is formed for a personal purpose, like your mobile phone using your Bluetooth connects with your laptop, with your smartwatch. Okay, so this is a small network. So this is, you can say this is an example of personal area network. Then if it is a size of 10 meter to 100 meter or 1 kilometer even, this will be a LAN. This will be a LAN, 10 to 1 kilometer, 10 meter to 1 kilometer. Now if it is 10 kilometers, within 10 kilometer, these values are, these are approximate, these are not, it's not that exact values, right? So somewhere near 10 kilometer if it is, or something less than that, more than 1 kilometer, so this will be known as MAN, Metropolitan Area Network. If it is 100 kilometer or 1000 kilometer, then it will be wide area network. Of course, this internet is also comes under this this wide area network. So this is suppose 10,000 kilometers, even more than that. Okay, so these all come under wide area network. So this is roughly the range. Okay, roughly the range. Now, say network types we have seen. Now we'll see about network architectures. What architecture is actually meant by relation between the computers. What is the relation between them? Okay, computers, I'd say more detailed process actually. Okay, but for the time being, just roughly speaking, this is computer. Though these are client server network and all, these are client server are processes residing in two different computers. Okay, but for the time being, just think that these are two different computers, though it may not be true in every case. So there are two types of architecture: client server architecture and peer-to-peer network. In client server architecture, server is the core component of the network. Okay, core component of the network, providing resources necessary to perform any task. So server actually is serving to whom? Clients. Okay, server is serving the clients. Serving by what? Serving through allocation of resources. Resources may be anything, maybe some space, maybe some data, maybe some processing power, anything. Okay, now clients are normally request, so clients client computers normally request and receive information on the network. Clients actually request the server for some sort of service or some sort of data. Okay, so clients also depend primarily on the central server for performing activities. So for performing some activities, suppose some processing is needed, that processing power is not available to the client, so it will send all the data to the server and expect that server to compute the result and send the result back to the client. So this is also done in case of client server network architecture. So this is an example. See here, this is the server. This is the server and these are all clients. See, these are all clients connected to some maybe switch, maybe hub, maybe router, anything. Okay, basically they are connected to the server. Now if it requires some sort of information, it requests, then the server sends back response. If this requires some sort of processing, it requests go through, then response comes. Here also same for all computers. Okay, so for it will be providing the service. So that's why server. But here, again, I'm telling you that it may be that in one computer, there may be both client and server. Why? Because server and client are not two different machines, but two different processes. These two processes may be running on same machine, may be running on different machine. Here, in this case, they are running on different machine. Okay, so don't mix it up that server is a machine or client is a machine. They are only processes, and they may be running on different machines also, same machines also. Now another is that peer-to-peer network. And peer-to-peer network, actually all the computers have equal right and responsibility. Shortly, if I tell you, okay, so they are all connected. So and network where computers as act as both workstations and servers. So they are servers, they are clients. There is no designated client, no designated server. Okay, so it is small, simple, inexpensive, and in a strict peer-to-peer networking setup, every computer is equal a peer in the network, one peer only. Okay, so no, nothing special about any node. So each machine can have resources that can be shared with any other machine. So each of the machine will have resources, and it can share it with anybody. Now there is no assigned role for any particular device. Okay, so you do not, any of the device doesn't have any particular assigned role. So they run similar software and similar things. Okay, that's why they are peer to peer. Anybody is not requesting any, and it's requesting, but not as a client, as a peer, like this. See, there is no server. All the machines are equal. All the machines are equal. This may request and this may respond. That is fine. This may request, this may respond. This may request and this may respond. At the same time, this can also request to it, and this may respond also. Okay. Similarly here, this can request, this can respond. Reverse also can happen. This can request and this can respond also. In case of client server, it is not the case. Server will not request the client. Client only will request the server, and server will send response. But here, anybody can send request, anybody can send response. Now, coming to this network topology. Now, topology basically defines the way in which computers and other devices are connected, how they are connected, how they are connected. The devices are there, and some sort of communication is going on between them, but how they are connected, through physical ways, how they are connected. So that is the done by this topology, network topology. Network topology describes the layout of wires and devices as well as the paths used for data transmission. So it will define the layout, how the wires are placed, how wires are connecting different devices, how the devices are placed. So this network layout, entire network layout, and the path through which bit means what are the paths between different devices. So those things will be taken care of by network topology. Okay, so network topology will take care of that. So there are a few classes of topology. One is bus topology, second is star and tree topology, then ring topology, mesh topology. Okay, four topologies actually we will discuss. Bus topology is the simplest one actually, so commonly referred as line bus. See here, The computers, these are nothing but computers. Okay, computers you can say, or printer also you can say, any network connected device, any network connected device. So they are connected to some bus or some cable. Okay, so they are connected, they all are connected to this. They all are connected. Now if this wants to send data, it will send data to this bus. Through bus it will be carried and it will reach here. This wants to send data to this, suppose this destination, this will send the data will move here, and from move data, this from this portion, this way data will move here. Okay, so this is bus topology. Now what is the advantage wise? If I tell you that it is very advantageous, because it is simple, right? Connection is very simple. You don't have to think much. You have to place one wire and connect all the devices to that wire. Simple, that much only. But disadvantage wise, if I tell you, if somehow the bus gets broken here, then this portion and this portion will be divided into two parts. Okay, this is called network partitioning. Now whenever some packet is sent, this will be coming over, suppose this destination, this will be coming over here, and after that it will not reach here. So see, entire section is disconnected because of only one wire. 3 nodes are disconnected from these 3 nodes. Okay, so this is the problem. Second is start topology and tree topology. Start topology is the most commonly used architecture in Ethernet. It is most commonly used architecture in Ethernet. So when installed, the start topology resembles like a bicycle's wheel spoke, right? Your bicycle wheel is something like this, and there are many spokes. They are all connected to some central point, right? So this is something like this. So all these are computers. They are connected to some device, maybe switch. Okay. Now suppose this computer wants to send data here. See, it has to send over here, and then this will be connected to this. It is sent here, then the packet will be sent over here. Suppose this wants to send data to this, the data will move here and data will be reaching here. Okay, so this is the way it will communicate. Now advantage wise, if I tell you, yes, it is complex compared to this bus topology, but then also they're not that much complex. You will have lot of wires, all wires will be connected to some single device, and through that communication will take place. Moreover, in case of bus, the problem is that whenever you are sending something, even giving address also, it will be broadcasted, means every node will receive it. Even though it is not necessary, then also they will receive it. Moreover, suppose if you are sending some packet to this node, okay, so it will pass the entire wires near all the nodes, whereas here, see, you are sending some data to different wires. Okay, advantage wise you can say that, but disadvantage is this one. If somehow this node goes down, your network is broken, finished. The network is broken. Okay, so this is a major issue in case of start topology or tree topology also. In case of large network, the topology may be like this, and then it is known as tree topology. Okay, so here you see, here switches, bridges, routers are used. So because of this, what will happen whenever this destination, this source is sending packet to this destination, so packet will move through this only. Packet will not broadcast it in the entire network. Okay, through this only packet will be moved. because routers will be there in between. So routers will know about whom to send the packet, whom to forward the packet. So packet will move in this direction only. It will not be that it will be broadcasted in all direction. Okay. So that is star topology. Then ring topology. For actually simplicity, I have written like this, but let me tell this first. The frame here actually, see the connection. Ring, like a ring, all the nodes are connected. All the nodes are connected like a ring. Okay. So now here you see, suppose this node wants to send some packet. Okay. So here actually what will happen? A frame travels around the ring, stopping at each node. One frame will be there that will be traveling around the ring continuously. It will be traveling continuously. Okay. Then if suppose this packet wants to send some packet to this, whenever the frame reaches here, it will add data and destination with that frame. Then the frame will move on. It will, whenever it will be reaching, it will check that whether this is, but this particular node is destination this, no. Then again, whenever it is reaching here, again it will check whether this particular node is this, no. Whenever it is reaching here, same. Whenever it is reaching there, it will find that okay, it has reached that destination. So it will take away the data. Okay, take away the data. Now the frame continues around the ring until it finds the destination. So whatever I said, that it will move on until it finds the destination, which takes the data out of the frame. It will take the data out of the frame. Again, the frame will move on. Now there are two types again. There is single ring, there is double ring. So in single ring, all the devices in the network share a single cable. See here, single ring. So that's why they all share a single cable. But in dual ring, there are two set of, each node has two set of cables. So in 1 to 1 wire, the packet will move in, suppose this direction, clockwise direction, another anti-clockwise direction will be there. In both directions it can move, the packet can move in case of dual ring. Another is disadvantage wise, if I tell you, if somehow suppose this one is disconnected, then what happens? This link is disconnected, then what happens? Entire ring is broken, so your system will not work. Your system will not work. Okay, because packet will not go from this to this and it will not rotate. So system will not work. Might work for some this to this, but it will not work for most of the cases. In dual ring tries to overcome this, but again dual ring is not that simple also. Okay. Now another is mesh topology. In mesh topology, all the devices are connected to each other. See here, this device is connected to this device is connected, directly connected. This device is connected to this device is connected to this. Again, if we consider this device, this is connected to this, and this. Okay. So see, if you can see, you can observe that all the devices are connected. So it will make the system fault tolerant. Suppose some link, this link fails. It will hamper communication from this to this directly, but through this it can go, right? So fault tolerance means if some fault occurs, still the system can survive. So that is fault tolerance. Okay. If you have multiple links one direct link, many indirect links. Of course, even if there's some fault in direct link also, indirectly you can reach. Now, or if one link fails, others are not affected. Others are not. Only this to this communication will be stopped. Others will go on. Okay, so that is the advantage of mesh topology. It is used in WANs to interconnect LANs and for mission critical applications like those used by banks and financial institutes. They are actually used to in LANs, used to connect in LANs. Okay, different LANs you have. Communication between the LANs are very necessary. So what you can do, you can use this mesh topology or some mission critical application where cost doesn't matter much. Okay, you have to ensure that communication continues. So for those cases, this mesh is very promising solution. Okay, now but here implementing the mesh topology is expensive and difficult. It is very expensive. You can see number of wires, so many wires are connected, right? Maximum number of wires are connected. In the previous cases, see the number of wires, very less, right? Very less number of wires. But here you see the number of wires. Huge number of wires are required. It is expensive also, and it is difficult. Okay. Now, if I tell you regarding this network, entire network actually stands on this diagram, entire network. Okay, tell me, any of you have, if you have any doubts, tell me. Any of you having any doubts, you can tell me. Anybody having any doubts? If you have doubts, you are free to ask now. Till now, means whatever I discussed, if you have doubts, you can tell. Okay, fine. Now we'll continue then. Just a minute, okay? Just a minute. This one visible, no? This one PDF, this my presentation visible, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Fine. Now see the OSI model. So entire network stands on this particular diagram. There are layers. Logically, physically, of course, physically you cannot touch. Whatever you cannot touch, that is not physical. Logically, okay. Physically is there only first layer. So now see, these are the layers. What are the layers? If I start from bottom, first is physical layer. Okay, physical layer. Physical layer will take care of your devices, physical, basically wires. Okay, wires and this raw data bits, ones and zeros, whatever will be sent through the media. That is physical layer. That is there. Bits, signals, all these are part of physical layer. Then comes data link layer. Data link layer, just higher to this physical layer. So here actually, this actually says about hope-to-hope communication. Suppose two nodes side by side. Suppose these two nodes. Suppose take a signal. Suppose these two nodes want to communicate. No. Suppose communication is far away. So this will ensure whether this communication between two nodes, between two neighboring nodes, are working properly or not between two nodes. Maybe source may be this, destination may be this. So packet, suppose, or source may be, so yeah, source may be this, destination may be this. So packet, suppose, is moving through this. Okay. So the data link layer will ensure the communication between neighboring nodes. This to this it will ensure. Then it will ensure this to this. Then it will ensure this to this. This to this it will not ensure. Source to destination will, only neighboring nodes communication it will ensure that it takes place properly. Then comes the network layer. Network layer actually will ensure that whatever packets you are sending from some source to destination, it reaches the destination properly. It reaches the destination properly. What I mean to say is that suppose somebody has sent you some letter. Okay, nowadays we don't send letter, we send email address. Email. There I have mandatory field. You cannot, if you do not put subject, no issues, right? In your email, if you do not put this email body, no issues. It will only show an alert that you have not given any body of the email. But if you do not give destination address, the address to whom you want to send the email, then email will not be sent, right? So some address is needed to whom you are sending, right? Here also, in your computer also, there are IP addresses to which your computer is uniquely identified in the network. Now, whenever sending any packet, you have to mention the destination computer's IP address. If you do not mention, then the system will not work. Because if you do not know where the packet needs to go, where the packet needs to go, if you do not mention, then what will happen? The packet means it is directionless basically. It is basically directionless, means you do not know where to go. So if you give some address, suppose this node wants to send some packet to this. So it will mention that this address. Now whenever it reaches here, it will find that the packet reaches here, it will find that, okay, to reach this particular node, next node is this. To this node, I need to forward it. So it will forward it. Whenever it reaches here, it finds that, okay, to reach this destination node, I need to forward this packet to this. So if you do not mention the address, what these nodes will do? Okay, so that's why you have to mention the address. Through this address, the packet will move, and that is taken care of. This routing of packet, routing of packet, you can say another way. So this packet will be done through this network layer. Then comes transport layer. Transport layer actually will ensure end-to-end connection. End-to-end connection. Some packet, suppose we if you want to ensure that I need to know whether the letter I have sent to somebody has reached the destination or not. How do we ensure? We ensure through acknowledgement. If I receive the acknowledgement from the receiver, that means the packet has the letter has been received at the receiver. If I do not receive acknowledgement, then actually it is sure that it has not reached. That's why if it had reached, then of course it had that this receiver has sent the acknowledgement. So the sender sends, it may not reach, actually somewhere some problem may be there, so the letter hasn't reached. Similarly here also, whenever the packet reaches the destination, suppose some packet, again the previous example, this packet to this node to this node, some packet has reached. How this will know that packet has reached? It will send an acknowledgement, right? It will send an acknowledgement. If it doesn't send acknowledgement, or if it doesn't receive, another way, if I tell more precise way, if it doesn't receive the acknowledgement, it will understand that either packet is lost or acknowledgement is lost, something is lost. So I have not received the acknowledgement, so there's a problem. So it will again send a packet. So these things will be taken care of by the transport layer. And these layers actually, they session layer has some functionality, but these are combined, you can say. Session layer, whenever you are communicating to anything, any device or any website, suppose some temporary key is assigned to you. Suppose I don't know whether you have observed that or not. Suppose some bank website, if you open, if you do not use it, means do not click anywhere for some time, for few minutes. After that, if you click, it says that session expired. I don't know you have seen the message or not. In some other websites also this may happen. Okay, where security is topmost priority. Session expired means session is basically sequence of packets. If difference between two packets are more than some predefined time, then it will be considered another session. Means it is part of another set of communication. Session means you can say roughly a set of communication. One session means one set of communication. Like one session, this is one session, right? I am taking this first session. Session means continuously I am communicating with you, or you are communicating with me, right? So this is session, continuous set of packets which is being transmitted. Now if there is a pause, now if there is a pause, and after some time, after suppose half an hour, another speaker starts speaking, so then that will be a different session. Okay, of course sometimes because of time shortage or because of some other issues the speakers continue speaking, but through this actually session is decided. Similarly here also, set of packets, if they are difference between two packets are less than some predefined time, then that belongs to same session. If it is more than some time, some threshold, predefined threshold time, then that is considered as different session. Then presentation layer and application layer, means whatever you are seeing in a browser, that comes under presentation and application layer. Okay, so through this actually communication is go on. Some packet I want to send, it will start, data content will come from application layer, then it will go to presentation layer, then session layer, then transport layer, then network layer, then data link layer, then physical layer, then through the link it will communicate to the B. In B physical layer it will be received, data link layer will receive the information, then network layer, then transport layer, then session layer, presentation, and finally application layer will retrieve the entire information. Okay, so that is your OSI model. Your entire means whenever you start reading network course, it is the basic, it is the basis. Again, each of the layer has huge scope of further development is also going on. Many researchers have also worked. Okay, and each of them is a big topic. Okay. Then I have talked about this, how to communicate, the architecture, all these things. Okay, so how to connect actually? Topology we discussed, right? Topology we discussed client server, but for that we need to connect the devices. How we can connect? There are two ways we can connect. One is through wired, another is through wireless. Through wired, through cable. Wire means cable. How? UTP cables may be there, coaxial cables may be there, optical fibers may also be there. UTP cable means unjilted twisted pair cable. Means here, like you use this Cat6 cable in your to connect your computer to your LAN in the university. So that is UTP cable. This coaxial cable you will find in cable TV. Okay, in cable TV, the cable used is coaxial cable. Optical fiber, where you require very fast communication, very fast communication. So UTP is slower compared to coaxial. Coaxial is much slower compared to optical fiber cables. Like in our university, this entire backbone network is this OFC cable. Then from there, this UTP cables are used. Another maybe through wireless media. Through wireless media. One example like access points may be used for, or access points are there, right? You can have this SIM enabled Wi-Fi also, right? The Airtel has this facility, Wi-Fi. This then Geo has Geo5, right? Many things are there. So these are all wired, wireless. Sorry, wireless. So this entire I've actually touched only few of the things in computer network. This is only very basic and fundamental thing. Okay, nothing advanced I've discussed. Only basic and fundamental thing I have discussed. And through this, I think you'll have some sort of clarity about this networking. Now, well, see, whenever you have connected set of network, connected for what actually? Why you have connected? We have connected for getting some extra benefit. What benefit? You want to share some data. You want to access remote data. You want to have resources remotely. You can use that. And those are the benefits you can have. Right. So now, and that benefit is given by mainly internet. All of you are using mobile, and mobile what you are doing actually, you are doing you are using your Gmail, your Google, then social networking websites that like Facebook, like that's WhatsApp. So they are all connected. Now you do not know where the server is, where the Facebook server is. Somebody asks you, you are uploading so many pictures, so many videos, so many status, so many things, but where actually you are uploading? You will say it's in Facebook, but where? Where is the server? Do not know. Actually, do not know. We also do not know. Okay, we also do not know. So WhatsApp also same. You do not know. So that's why this big issue, big conflict with the government with social networking sites. So these are few of the reasons that you do not have. The government sometimes may not have access also. Some you are storing something, and the server is in maybe in US also. Okay, so why these all problems are there? Because of this cloud computing, giving us lot of facilities. I tell you, lot of facilities. You do not feel that you are using any other's computer. You are using others' computer basically. It seems to you that you are using your computer, but basically you are using others' computer. Some company's computer you are using, but you are feeling that okay, the entire thing is with me and I can access it very fast. It is fast enough. Okay, if your internet is fast, your this cloud computing facility will also be very fast. So it is very fast. It is very cheap. Okay, so it's a big advantage given to the users. Also challenges also, not users, to the researchers. Now, if I go by definition, so definition is somewhat actually clumsy. Okay, I'd say. So according to US National Institute of Standards and Technology, cloud computing is a model for enabling ubiquitous, convenient, on-demand access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources like networks, servers, storage, applications, and services that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimum management effort or service provider interaction. So this I have quoted from them. Okay. Now see, what does actually it mean? First, it says that cloud computing is a model for enabling ubiquitous, means utility based. I need data storage service. This is utility, right? What is utility service? Means I need some telephone connection. So this is utility. Electricity, utility, electricity bill, utility, right? So these are gas bill, gas connection, utility. So something like this, see, service, you are actually taking service and you are paying money, right? So here some sort of utility like computing facility, like processing power also, some sort of, I require this capacity, this GB RAM, this processor, CPU. I'll ask the cloud service provider, he will provide me. It's not that he will come to my home with a machine in a you know, in a Tata Ace or Auto and give delivered to me. Nothing like that. I'll be sitting at my home with my laptop, and using that only I can access that server. Okay, it is convenient. So convenient means what? Suppose I need a workstation, big workstation. Now there are two options. I can buy it or I can rent it. If I buy, and if my utilization is not that much, this is actually a loss making, you know, decision, because your usage is not that much, but you are buying. But if I make a deal with some cloud service provider, that you provide me some workstation with this much of capacity, and it will, that cloud service provider will provide, and whatever my user will be using it, and accordingly I'll pay the bill. Accordingly I'll pay the bill. On demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources. See, through network you are accessing a shared pool. Shared pool means many devices, many networks, are the server, storage, applications, all are there in a on shared basis. Okay, means huge pool is there. You can access this, or you can use the services. You can rent the services, like your telephone bill. I call for 1 minute, I pay bill for 1 minute only. Like I use the server for 10 minutes, I'll pay bill for 10 minutes only. Nothing more than that. Okay, I don't have to maintain that, and no headache. I don't have to maintain that. I don't have to, if some problem occurs, I don't have to call any technician. That is their headache. It's not my headache. They will provide me the server only. That is the deal. Okay, but no headache they will provide. The headache they will provide later, we'll see. They can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management effort. They can be rapidly provisioned, very fast. Suppose you have requested for some server. You don't have to write an application, go to some office, submit it, then it will take a few more weeks, and after that server will be allocated. Not that much of time. You purchase it. Purchase it means what? You register yourself. Of course, the thing is that in Amazon Web Services, if you want to purchase, you have to give your credit card details. Okay, you have to give your credit card details. Why? Because whenever you will be using, will be billed, and that amount will be deducted from your credit card directly. Okay, so that's why. So give your credit card details, register yourself, and start using. Not much delay, nothing delay, no delay, I'll say. Okay, and released. If you do not use, deregister, you stop the services. So this is gone. Nothing, no issues actually, with minimum management and service providing. You don't have to talk with Amazon. So online form filling, you can do it. So this is a diagram which shows a cloud. You see here, you see many things are there. See, database, application server, ports are there, mobile nodes you will connect, right? PC also you can connect to use the services. Kitchen sink also. Nowadays kitchen sink also, because IoT, this is entire new ball game. Okay, IoT is coming. This you avoid. Okay, these things you can understand that many devices are connected to the cloud, and through this PC or this mobile device, you will be using the services of the servers, databases also. Advantage wise, essential characteristics, if I tell you, first is on-demand self-service. A user can unilaterally provision computing services capabilities such as server time, uh, network storage, as needed automatically without requiring human interaction with each service provider. See, you require some sort of computer configuration, or you need to increase your RAM, which is being provisioned by your service provider. What you do, you will increase, there will be a menu, you select the RAM, and accordingly you will be billed. Okay, on demand means whenever you require, the service will be provided to you, and for that you don't have to contact anybody. You simply change it. Like though I have another talk on this usage of Google Drive and all. In Google Drive, you store things. What do you think? The things, whatever you store, that is in your computer? No. Or in your mobile? No. That is in Google server, in Google Drive. Okay. And up to 15 GB, it is free. If you want to get more, you have to pay money. How? You don't have to go to Google's office to fill and give with a form. Okay. You have to only fill an online form. After that, you pay the amount and you enjoy. Okay. So that is the benefit of cloud services. Then broad network access capabilities are available over the network and accessed through standard mechanism that promote use by heterogeneous thin or thick client platforms. If it is your computer or mobile phone is connected to a cloud service provider, suppose I am using my mobile phone. My mobile phone's computation capacity is not as high as any GPU or workstation. Okay, big, powerful computer. But using my mobile phone, I can use that powerful computer. Through network, I'll be connected to the cloud service provider's powerful computer, whatever is I have purchased, whatever capacity instance I have purchased. Instance, actually that is the term which is used. Okay, whatever computer I've subscribed, I'll only feed the data, and that data will in my browser, and that data will go to the workstation. The workstation will perform all the computation. My mobile phone is not doing at all. Okay, my mobile phone is collecting data and sending it, and it will compute the result. Whatever big data is, it will compute. Okay. Of course, it depends on your which server you have or which workstation you have selected in your in the cloud. If you select powerful servers or powerful workstations, then of course in a minute it will do, and it will send back the result. See, your mobile phone, you know, it's thin client, capability wise it's less, but through this you are performing huge computation activity using the cloud services. Then resource pooling. The providers computing resource are pooled to serve multiple customers using multi-tenant model. Means pool of storage will be there, pool of servers will be there, pool of workstations will be there, set of workstations will be there, and many users will use it. Many users, they will be using it. So what is actually happen? Set of users will be using set of resources. So for service provider side, cost is reduced. For client side, their cost is also reduced because they don't have to maintain the server. And for client servers, this service provider's gain is that they have to maintain set of servers, but they are serving a lot of clients also. And whoever is requesting whatever this machine configuration, it is there in the pool. Somewhere somebody is using in the evening, somebody is using in the night. So with that set of resources, you are serving lot of users. So that is the benefit. Okay, so this is a win-win deal. So virtual resource dynamically assigned and reassigned according to the customer demand. According to the customer demand, it is dynamically assigned. Cloud characteristics, measured service. Whatever your service you are taking, that is measured. You can measure also. Provide for transparency purpose. both provider and customer can measure. Like in mobile phone, you cannot do that, but in this cloud service provider, you can. If there will be some meters, it will be showing that how much you have consumed. Okay, so based on your usage, you will be billed every month. Okay, if your usage is more, you will be billed more. If your usage is less, billed less. Rapid elasticity means, suppose I am using now a workstation with 32 GB RAM. Suddenly, I require more computation power. So for that, I need 128 GB RAM. So what I can do, from the drop-down menu, I have to select only 128 GB RAM and make it okay, few clicks, and after that, that type of device will be allocated to me virtually. Okay, but actually computation facility is same. Like your 128 GB workstation, whatever computation power is, same power it will be providing. Okay, now see here elasticity, see, but if you have a 16 GB suppose, or 32 GB RAM in your workstation, suppose you want to increase it by 128 GB, you have to go to market, do lot of exercises, right? And after that you have to bring it, fit it. But here no, one thing, and you have to click somewhere, click, only few clicks, and after that your work is done. Common characteristics: massive scale. Okay, massive scale means very big scale, means huge amount of storage is available, huge amount of processing capability is available. Okay, everything is of big size because it is serving lakhs of users. Resilient computing. Resilient means you will not feel that computer has failed. Okay, it is the beauty of distributed system. Basically, it is one type of, you can say, distributed system. Lot of servers will be there, lot of devices will be there, lot of computers will be there, which will be providing memory resources. So if one has failed, other will take up. So see here, you will not find that the entire system has gone down. It will happen very rarely. May happen, because few days back YouTube and Google was down for few hours in India, but it's not for long. And another is geographic distribution. One server is here, another server is, you see, in cloud. If you are storing things in Google Drive, you do not know where the server is, whether in India, whether in UK, whether in Singapore or US, you do not know actually. Geographic distribution, many places it is there. Virtualization, whatever devices or resources will be allocated to you, that are all virtualized, that are virtual. You cannot touch that, you cannot touch that server, you cannot find that server. Okay, it is there, you are using it, but you cannot touch that. That is virtualized. Then service orientation, it is based on service. Whatever service you require, that will be provided to you. You require more memory, memory will be given to you. You require some processing power, that will be given to you. Okay, low cost software. So since suppose if 100 persons are using one software, and if one person is purchasing one software, of course the cost will be less, right? So software cost wise also will come down because more number of users are using it. Then advanced security wise also it is good enough. Good enough here I am telling you. Okay, later on I'll tell security issues are there. Of course security issues are there. If it is connected, some device is connected, there is a chance of vulnerability. So cloud service models, there are 3 types: infrastructure as service, platform as service, and software as service. In infrastructure as service, infrastructure is provided. So the capability provided to the customer is to use providers' applications running on cloud. First software as services we have discussed. Okay, as software as service. So here the capability provided to the customer is to use the provider's application running on a cloud infrastructure. So what is the facility provided? Some application is already there in cloud. You are only using it, like Google Docs. It is there, right? Google Spreadsheet example. It is there. You are only using it. So application software the client is using, and where the application software is maintained, the cloud. So the application can be accessible from various client devices through either a thin client or any web browser. Means you can access your Google Sheet from your mobile phone, whatever weak mobile phones also you can do it. Okay, and using your laptop also you can do it, right? So this is software service, like email also an example. Then infrastructure as service means it will provide processing, storage, network, or other fundamental computing facility, like some computing facility it will provide. 2 GB hard disk, 128 GB RAM, and this graphics card, okay, NVIDIA, this graphics card, that many things you specify, and that particular hardware resource will be allocated to you, and you will be using it. So customer can deploy and run arbitrary software. Anything you can do. Software means this is like a computer. You can install anything, you can run anything, no issues. Okay, for your browser, it will appear that okay, it's like a computer screen, but not in your computer. It is in the computer of cloud service provider. So Amazon Web Service, AWS, FlexiScale. These are few examples. Platform as service, the capability provided to the customer is to deploy onto the cloud infrastructure customer created or acquired application supported by provider. Suppose some database is provided by or some operating system installed computer or database having computers will be given to you, and now you can develop your own application or take any application, take any listed application from the cloud and you can use it. Okay, so it is giving you platform for application development or running. Suppose with Windows, some computer is given. So here with platform and some database also, suppose it is giving you. Okay, the cloud server, it is there in the cloud. So you can use it. You can write your application and you can use it. So this is platform as service. So this is a diagram which actually specifies whatever I've said. The cloud clients will be using browsers, right? You are using browsers whenever using internet, like Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Opera, anything. Mobile apps, thin client, or means any weak mobile also you can use to access the cloud. Then software as service, CRM, this customer relationship management, or you can say spreadsheet also. Okay, email, virtual desktop, communication games, like that. Platforms, execution runtime, like database, web servers. See, web servers means installed with operating system, everything. Okay, now you deploy your application. Development tools, and infrastructure as service, virtual machines, servers, storage. See here, hardwares, all hardwares that can also be rented. So this is a hierarchy. So here first is infrastructure. Okay, so a highly scalable, redundant, shared computing infrastructure accessible using internet technologies. So scalable and redundant infrastructure is there, which is accessible. Okay, so you can access it. Some infrastructure is there and you can access it. Will be rented by you and you can access it, use it. It may be storage, processing, any. This platform, it is just beginning actually. Okay, it's just beginning means it has not matured. It has just started. A platform that enables developers to write applications run over the cloud. So it will enable you to write your own application over the cloud. Okay, so a platform would usually have several application service available to quick development. So the servers may also be there for few applications already installed. You can quickly deploy that. And software applications that are enabled for the cloud supports an architecture that can run multiple instances for the time being just neglect. Okay, instances means each of the machine is considered as instances. Okay, so like some application software, like your MS Office, Google Docs, spreadsheet, all these things are there. You are accessing it. Okay, and monthly for all this it is applicable. Monthly subscription model is there. You can use it, and based on your use, as for this monthly subscription, but for for this actually usage, if your usage is more, of course you will be billed more. This is also okay. Example: Google Docs, MobileMe, Zoho. This is an example of software as service. Microsoft Azure, Google App Engine, Post.com. These are example of platform as service. Amazon EC2, S3, then Rackspace, Sun's cloud service. Those are few examples of infrastructure. They provide provision infrastructure. These are the challenges. Okay, in 2018, TideScale conducted its annual survey on its professional, 997 professionals, and they said that these are the challenges in cloud computing. First, they said about this security. Security is very critical issue. See, you are storing your data, okay, but in the cloud, but data is not with you. Data is not with you. You do not know what cloud service provider does with your data. Whether it sells your data to somebody else or not, you do not know. So this is a big concern. Okay, so this means you cannot check also. The cloud service provider will not allow you to check. Google will not allow you to check whether it sells your data or not. Okay, so this is a big concern. Another is managing cloud spend. How to manage the cloud? So many users are there, so many instances are there. How to manage the cloud resources in such a way that it enables its maximum utilization. Another is lack of resources or expertise. Person working on cloud computing are very limited. So manpower problem is also there. Governance and control. Suppose you are storing some data and data is being stored in US. Now, which government's rule will be applicable on your data? Either Indian rule or US rule. If data is yours, so since you are an Indian, so Indian rules will apply. But data is stored in US. So means law of the land may not be applicable also. Okay, since data has crossed the border, so law of the land may not be applicable. So this is the problem. Okay, compliance. Lot of government bodies are there. You have to comply with that. So this is a big challenge. Means they will set out rules. These rules you have to follow. But sometimes it is difficult for these cloud service providers to follow or how to comply with them. It's a big challenge. Managing multiple clouds. Suppose you are using some cloud for one storing data. You are using another cloud for using infrastructure or using their software. So multiple cloud service you are taking. How to manage multiple cloud services? That is an issue. Then performance. Performance wise also, this is an issue, but not that critical issue. Okay, performance is if your network is slow, of course your performance will go down, right? Or if more user load is there, then it's a problem because the cloud service provider will be overloaded at that time. Then performance will deteriorate. And building a private cloud. Building a private cloud, some of the institutes like IIT Kharagpur has their own private cloud. So different organizations are trying to build their own private cloud. Means you can provision resources, you can use the resources, and that is beneficiary because other than maintaining computer in each and every department, if we develop a cloud in centrally and all the computer all the systems in the network use that particular service, then we don't need to purchase high configuration servers. All the computers can use it. Okay, in a shared basis. So in a minimum cost, we can cover maximum. Another problem is there. Suppose you are storing some clouds. Whatever has happened with Orkut actually, you have stored a lot of photos there. Then suddenly Orkut said that okay, from this date I'll be offline. Offline means I'll not be there. Okay, so take a backup. Of course, they have given some chance. Take a backup of that. Now, if suddenly some cloud service provider shuts down, for company issues or for financial issues or something, okay, then what will happen with your data? That is a big concern. Suppose you have stored a lot of data in some cloud service provider. Suddenly you came to know one morning that, okay, that company has been shut down. It has been bankrupted. Then what will be with your data? Lot of data is there stored in the cloud. So that is also another big issue. Okay. So these are the few of the challenges where researchers are working on the cloud. Now, if any of you are interested, you can also work there. So in summary, so we discussed about network architecture, network topology, protocol layers, different types of protocol. Protocol layers means the OSI model I've shown you. Then transmission media also, wired, wireless, right? Then cloud characteristics, different characteristics of cloud we have discussed, different types of cloud, infrastructure as service, software as service, right? Those types of clouds, and a few of the challenges. Okay. Any queries if you have? These are the references from here. These are not my content. Okay, I've taken it from these resources. So these are the resources from where I've taken the content and prepared my slides. So thank you. And if you have any queries, you can ask.
Thank you very much for this informative lecture on the very basic content of networking and cloud computing. Participants, if you have any query, you can ask. I hope, sir, there is no queries from the participants. Anyway, if any of you have any, you can drop us in via mail also. No problem. So we'll took it forward to our respected sir. So, sir, thank you very much. On behalf of Department of IT, I once again, pay my homage to you for your kind consent about this lecture. And we'll be fortunate again to hear from you about, on 29th, that is Thursday, on usage of Google Drive sheets and other applications. The participant will be able to understand the real-time applications of cloud computing or cloud applications. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll end this session now, as it is already 11.